Vidar and Catherine Ligard are the founders of SafariMission.org. Vidar Ligard is also the author of A Fork in the Road, a book that gives you life lessons you were not taught in school and that the church did not tell you. And that is what Safari Mission podcast is all about, teaching practical steps to personal growth and development. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Vidar and Catherine Ligard.
Today we're talking about time management.
Yep.
You know, there's a number of different types of resources. There is people, there is time, there is energy, there is money. A lot of times we think we need to learn more about managing people and managing money, and that's well. But with people and money, there is always an unlimited supply. You can always have more. With energy, you're very limited. The energy you have is the energy you have. You might be able to help it a little bit by working out, doing a few things, diet and so forth, but it's still limited. You can't go to unlimited. And it's the same with time. You know, whether you have no income or you're a billionaire, you still have the same 24 hours every day.
Yeah.
And as you grow, you find out that it's actually more important to manage time than it is to manage money. You can always get some more money, you know, and when you know how to get money, you can't get more time.
Right.
So it needs to be managed. The Bible talks about this too. Paul writes to both the Ephesians and the Colossians, make the best use of the time, he says.
Right.
So how do we do that?
That's a good question, but you know, let me at least quote yourself. Me quote from your book, Fork in the Road, and it's about prioritizing because, like you said, we all have the same amount of time. It's more about how we prioritize our time, and I'm just going to read this in the chapter Dreams and Visions. Getting something done means you're saying no to 100 good things you could be doing and only focusing on the great ideas. When pursuing a big dream, it requires persistence, patience, keeping your focus and staying the course over the long haul. Focus means that we ignore lots of other tempting affairs in order to get our goals accomplished.
Prioritizing and time management is it's very much related. You could almost say it's the same thing. And yeah, I think, like I said, there's about 100 things I could think about that I could have been doing.
Yeah.
Instead of sitting here right now talking about this.
Right, but you know what you even say in the next page over is it's dangerous to work on good ideas and important things. Prioritize and work first on what is very important.
There is an illustration that goes well along with this, and it's, you know, if you're driving down the road, you see all these billboards and different advertisements. And if I see an advertisement for hair color,
yeah,
it'll automatically get zero of my attention. It might get some of your attention, I don't know, but it doesn't get any of my attention because it's absolutely not important to me. So it doesn't have the power to distract.
Right.
But if I see an advertisement for hiking Kilimanjaro, or I see an advertisement for some outdoor sportsmanship, go trout fishing or something like this, that advertisement will easily take my mind and pull it in a particular direction.
Right.
And when it's done that, it has taken away from whatever I was working on. It became a distraction. And so these distractions don't happen with things that are absolutely not important to us. They tend to happen with things that are important.
Right.
But it takes away from doing what we had already said today is very important.
Right.
So in that sense, it's the good ideas that you have to watch out for. It's the important things that you have to watch out for because that is where your distractions are. And you can't work on 100 different things at the same time. You have to be dedicated, persistent, consistent in whatever area you have planned that you have decided you're going to go.
And you know, we all think that what we prioritize is important. But then we realize when we see ourselves in comparison with another person who is highly efficient and have high capacity, we realize then that what they prioritize is so different from what we prioritize. And then we realize that they're prioritizing the very important things, and we might just prioritize what seems important at the time. So, how do you know what's important? How do you know what's very important? Well, that's why you want to plan your day. You want to plan your life. You want to have a strategy. You want to have a goal to work towards. Because if you in your life have no goal to work towards, you will never know if a priority lines up with the goal you have.
Yeah, setting that the plan and the purpose for your life, your goals for maybe for your whole life, but also for the year, for the calendar quarter,
right,
for the week.
Yeah.
What is the goal for today?
Yeah, even today. How do you take control of the day? When you wake up, do you already have a to-do list that you have put priorities, that you have prioritized? Today, I'm going to at least get this, and this done because it's very important. And if something comes up along the way, I need to evaluate, is this emergency worth my attention? Maybe it isn't. What's an emergency for someone else may not really be an emergency for us.
Yeah. We used to laugh at because there's been a saying that you have to wake up and pray before the demons wake up in the morning.
Yeah.
And at times we've laughed at the saying, but there is some truth in that. You have to get up and you have to plan, or at least plan your day. You can plan the evening before or the morning of, but you do have to have conquer the day, so to speak, before the day wakes up,
right,
or before the interruptions of the day start.
Right.
For some people, that's 8 o'clock in the morning that interruptions will start. For some people, it's maybe it's 6:30 or 7, whatever the case is. Whenever those interruptions start in your life.
Yeah.
You have to have planned that day before they start, because every interruption, it has to be evaluated against the priorities that you've already set for that day.
Exactly. And the thing is, if you don't get a good start of the day, the rest of the day tend to just slide, and you just don't know where the day went by the time you're ready for bed again. And there are some real basic things that come to time management as well. And that is, you need to plan yourself so that you are at the place you need to be at in time. Coming late to work, coming late to a sales appointment will not make you successful. And I think you even have an illustration on that.
Talking about a sales appointment. I remember I was in the office one day, and I had a very important appointment. It was actually a funeral of somebody that I knew well enough that I really needed to be there.
Right.
And I had a sales appointment, and I had given the salespeople 30 minutes in my calendar for that day. Well, they showed up 10 minutes late.
Right.
And that sales appointment was important enough that it made it on my calendar, but it wasn't nearly as important as the funeral that was coming up.
Right.
Well, they show up 10 minutes late, and I informed them, well, you're 10 minutes late, so you only have 20 minutes remaining.
Right.
They overran their 20 minutes.
Right.
To this day, I don't know what they talked about. I don't know what the sales presentation was about, but I do know this. I've never talked to the people since, because that level of rudeness, of not respecting my time,
right,
that is a guaranteed way of them not getting what they were trying to accomplish that day.
Exactly. And that's a typical example of, if you don't take control of your day in the beginning of the day, you'll end up running late for an appointment, for work, whatever it might be. And that's not going to go over well with the one who you're going to meet. You're going to try to sell something. If you're not there on time, having prepared a presentation that you can remember, likelihood of you buying or using their services are very small, because they were not in charge of their time and they had not planned themselves to have a good presentation. And the same with work. You have people coming to work who are continually late. They may not have work to go to in the end, because they didn't manage their time and plan. And a lot of times when I talk about planning your time, I talk about thinking backwards. You start with the time you have to be somewhere. So in this particular example, if the salespeople had to be at your office, say by 10, then they have to think, okay, I need to be there by 10. how long does it take me to get there from where I'm leaving from? And if that's 45 minutes, they have to say, okay, I need to leave at least by 9:15. But there could always be traffic. There could
There's
always be
always
something that comes up. So you need to learn to, if it takes 45 minutes, you leave 15 minutes early. So in this case, if you have to be somewhere by 10, you leave by 9. That gives you 15 minutes extra time for emergencies, and you have allowed for the full time it takes to get there. So that means you have to leave no later than 9. And you have to keep looking at your time, whether that's a watch or that's your phone. And you need to, whilst you're getting ready to leave, maybe you're getting dressed, maybe you're preparing other things, maybe you're preparing your sales speech, whatever you're doing, you need to keep looking at time, and you need to be ready to leave out the door by 9 o'clock. You don't get to 9 and then you start packing up your laptop, and then you start putting your shoes on, and then you start doing all those things, because by the time you then leave, it's 9:10.
Yep.
You're already late. So you need to, okay, if I need to leave by 9, by 8:45, I should stop what I'm doing. I should pack my bag. I should put on the last makeup, maybe put on my shoes, do my hair, whatever it needs to be done. Yeah, I'm glad. It depends on who you are, what you need to do. But you got to think backwards like that. And if you don't have those set deadlines in your head, you end up being late. And one late, okay, so you didn't finish in time. Now you don't leave in time. Now you won't show up in time. And then maybe you have to prepare that sales presentation because you're not ready yet. And you need at least 30 good minutes to prepare for that in the morning. Well, then start at 8. That gives you a whole 45 minutes before you need to wrap it up and start prepping to get out the door. So always allow a little bit of extra time so that you have that cushion, so that you are ready for your sales presentation on time. You're there on time. And that's how you become successful, because you're prepared, you're ready, you conquered the day, and you plan for it. And there you are. And, you'll give a good impression to whoever you need to meet that day. And so that's how you plan these basic things, is that you need to, you start with the end, and then you work yourself backwards. What do I need to accomplish in order to get there on time?
With time management, typically, if you look at people at a particular economic level, there's typically time management habits that are common at that particular level. If you look at people at a higher economic level, typically they'll have different time management priorities. So, for example, where we come from, it's coffee land.
Yes.
And if somebody shows up at the door, you'll invite them in, you'll make a cup of coffee, and you'll spend an hour, 2 hours. You'll drop what you're doing to spend that time. I know many places tea is real common, but at a particular level of economic productivity, you no longer have the time to sit down with a cup of tea with everybody who would like to do so. In fact, right now, we have some cups right here, but I could have preferred to spend some time with people that I haven't spent time with them in a long time, and be on the phone with them, have a cup of tea with them. But we have to do this right now in order to accomplish what we're supposed to do today.
Yeah.
And so you need to learn to say no to things that are common at the particular level where you are. And there's something called the 80-20 principle. 20% of your time probably produces 80% of your income, or 20% of the things that you do produces 80% of your results.
Yes.
Start asking, what are those things that actually produce 80% of the results of my life? Typically come from 20% of what we're doing.
Yeah.
Well, those are the things that you need to prioritize. And the 80% of our time produces only 20% results.
Right.
Some of those things you need to start saying no to.
Exactly.
So that you start focusing more on high value time commitments.
Sure. So let's just kind of keep illustrating this with the same illustration. You have the sales meeting. We talked about how you need to work yourself backwards to set deadlines in your own head. When do I need to finish my breakfast? When do I need to finish my presentation? When do I need to start wrapping things up? And when do I need to be out the door leaving? But you know, you have so back to this example, you're leaving at 9 because you have a sales presentation at 10. You have allowed yourself a 15 minutes extra time just in case something comes up. And if not, you'll just arrive 15 minutes early and you'll be ready when you need to be ready. But what if you have a phone call come in from a friend of yours, and then they want to just talk for 15 minutes on the phone, and you end up saying, oh yeah, he's a good friend, she's a good friend, let me just take this phone right now and just like have a little chat, because I did allow myself 15 minutes, you know, so if I leave 15 minutes later, that's okay. What have you just done? You just prioritize something that is important to you, but over something that's very important to you, which is selling, because that's what you're engaged in. So you end up speaking 15 minutes on the phone, and then you leave, but now you don't have that cushion of 15 minutes. So if you're stuck in traffic or your car breaks down on the way, you're going to end up being late.
Right.
Or maybe another example would be you allowed yourself a 15-minute, I'm just going to stop by the dry cleaner on the way and drop this off because I have the time. Well,
hey, I'm guilty.
Yes, I know, but it's also very close to our place. But, you know, it sounds like a good idea. It's only going to take 10 minutes. I know it's only going to take 10 minutes. It's important because I need my clothes dry cleaned, right? But something else comes up, and then you get late to the sales meeting and you lose the whole sale because you prioritize something that was important over something that's very important.
So here is some principles for how to handle interruptions. You've got your day planned, you've got your to-do list, you've got your calendar laid out